D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to my week in review, where I come to you every Sunday with 3 entertainment stories that I personally find interesting, and then we discuss them down below. Also, down below in the description, you can find the 3 articles that I read to bring you this video, and you can read them for yourself and come up with your own opinion. You don't just have to listen to mine. Also, before we get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. Within the last 6 months, YouTube did a bot and old account cleanse / purge, and there was some collateral damage. So I'm just going to ask you to consider liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, and I do thank you in advance. So without further ado, let's just get started on these 3 stories. And I have to say the first one is a sad one. The world woke up Wednesday morning to sad news that beloved Indian actor Irrfan Khan had died at just 53 years of age. The Bollywood star died from a medical complication that arose from a colon infection, which stemmed from a neuroendocrine tumor that Khan was diagnosed with in 2018. At the time of his passing, Khan was surrounded by his loved ones. News of his passing broke in the early hours of the morning, so most folks in the United States didn't find out until they got up to start their day. I trust I have surrendered. These were some of the many words that Irrfan expressed in a heartfelt note he wrote in 2018, opening up about his fight with cancer. And a man of few words and an actor of silent expression with his deep eyes and his memorable actions on screen, from Khan's publicist after his passing. It's saddening that this day we have to bring forward the news of him passing away. Irrfan was a strong soul, someone who fought till the very end and always inspired everyone who came close to him. After having even struck by lightning in 2018 with the news of a rare cancer, he took life soon after as it came, and he fought the many battles that came with it. Surrounded by his love, his family for whom he most cared about, he left for heaven abound, leaving behind truly a legacy of his own. We all pray and hope that he is at peace. And to resonate the part with his words as he said, "As if I was tasting life for the first time, the magical side of it." Following the news of Khan's death, fans from around the world, as well as other stars and filmmakers in Hollywood, took to Twitter to mourn the loss of the beloved figure. And I just have to say that Irrfan Khan was a wonderful actor, and his work was enjoyed by audiences around the world. I personally liked him. He was so great. I mean, if you haven't seen any of his Bollywood movies, I suggest you go watch them. He's so great. I mean, Life of Pi, so good. Even his small role in Jurassic World was just great. So it really is so sad that that he passed away. So that's my first story of the day. It's a sad one. So here's my second story of the day. Pairing an impressive level of talent with high-quality personality has worked in Hollywood for Michael Rosenbaum. The actor, best known to mainstream audiences for his role as Lex Luthor on Smallville, almost took on a different DC Comics property thanks to his friendship with James Gunn. It would have brought his acting chops to the table once again and been the opportunity spawning from their friendship. Rosenbaum, who recently appeared in James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and should be returning for Volume 3, had himself a role in Gunn's The Suicide Squad movie, but had to turn it down for personal reasons, which he opened up about on Talking Shop. It was close, I was supposed to. Let's just say I was supposed to be in it, but I had a neck injury and I couldn't do the role. I couldn't do the role because it was too physical at the time and I couldn't jeopardize my neck. But there was the role. Unfortunately for now, this role is going to remain secret. Perhaps this could be a good sign for him playing it somewhere down the road. He also said, "I won't say the role, but there was the role. James is always so generous and kind and reached out, and so I think when the time's right, look, it's nice for your friends to think of you. It's nice when your friends have a part." Rosenbaum has blossomed quite a few deep relationships with top actors and filmmakers across Hollywood. In hosting his Inside of You podcast with guests ranging from Stephen Amell to Michael Rooker to Kristen Bell, Rosenbaum has brought out the vulnerable sides of celebrities and connected with them while also allowing listeners to relate. His well-known acting abilities paired with these friendships is a recipe for networking his way into awesome roles in comic book films, though he humbly credits those opportunities to the people around him who are kind enough to consider it. Well, they have the power to do something, and they're like, well, he's talented as hell, and I have the ability to put him in something. You hope they do, right? Rosenbaum explained, and not everybody does it. So it's when I directed my movie back in the day years ago, I tried to put a lot of my friends in it. I tried to, even when I had my show in Pastor, tried to put some friends in it. When I was in Smallville, my friend had a song. I got her song in it. Like 8 years after, she goes, I've made $20,000 off that song you put in Smallville. Rosenbaum's message, it seems, is to be kind and take care of others, and they might just take care of you as well. In this case, it would have landed him a role in the Suicide Squad, but for now, we will long for the day he returns to live-action DC Comics property. And I have to say, there are so many guesses out there of what he could have been. Somebody guessed Lex Luthor, but I'm like, it's not gonna be Lex Luthor, dum-dum. Come on, let's be serious. But I'm very curious to what the role is. James Gunn did go on his Twitter, and he did respond to somebody and did say that it was a cameo. So I'm very curious if it was a character from the comic books or if it was a character that James Gunn just made up. I really hope it was a character from the comic books and one with superpowers, or like the Suicide Squad, like Harley Quinn doesn't have superpowers, but she's from the comic books and she's kind of like a supervillain or whatnot. So I hope it was something like that, not just like he played like a businessman or an anchor or something like that. So, go ahead and leave your thoughts of who he was playing down below. I'd love to hear your guesses. All right, so that's my second story of the day. So for my third story of the day, Universal's animated sequel, Trolls World Tour, did pretty well for itself on direct-to-video on demand, which might be a good thing since cinema chain AMC Theaters says they plan to retaliate against the studio for the way they handled the film's release by refusing to screen Universal films when they reopen their doors later this year. The film has so far earned somewhere in the neighborhood of about $100 million by utilizing premium video-on-demand rentals. It was about $20 for 2 days. And that's about the cost of buying a new digital movie. So that's not much less than the 115 or so the first Trolls made in its first 3 weeks in North America. Essentially, the conflict boils down to this. NBC Universal exec Jeff Shell told investors and the Wall Street Journal that the movie had proven there was a market for movies that release for premium rental on the same day a theatrical release happens. That sounds pretty great to a lot of consumers, but exhibitors bristle at the idea that they would lose their exclusivity. The results for Trolls World Tour have exceeded our expectations and demonstrated the viability of PVOD, Shell told the Journal. As soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats. AMC Theater CEO shot back in a letter to Universal that their blackout policy affects any and all Universal movies per se, goes into effect today, and as our theaters reopen, and is not some hollow or ill-considered threat. Incidentally, this policy is not aimed solely at Universal out of pique or to be punitive in any way. It also extends to any movie maker who unilaterally abandons current windowing practices absent good faith negotiations between us so that they as distributor and we as exhibitor both benefit and neither are hurt from such changes. Currently, with the press comment today, Universal is the only studio contemplating a wholesale change to the status quo, hence this immediate communication in response. So I have to say, so basically what it is Universal put out Trolls World Tour, and you could rent it for $19.99 or whatnot. It was $20 for 48 hours. I rented it, watched it 3 times in that 48 hours. I got kids and everything, and they loved that movie. And I liked it too. It was a good movie. So they released that movie. Then they're like, hey, we made money on this movie. We're going to start doing this for all of our movies, which was a bad idea because the theaters, they understand that these movies, that these studios, they have to get these movies out. They have to get some of their movies out. and everything. And they're doing it for movies that probably wouldn't have made an overwhelming amount of money at the box office. But, so the theaters were kind of, they didn't like it, but they were kind of like okay with it. So then Universal, like the big dum-dums they are, they announced because Trolls 2 did so well, they're going to do that for all of their movies. They're going to release it in the theaters, and they're going to release it on video on demand. And AMC didn't like that. And so now they are boycotting all of Universal movies from now on. They can't play their movies in their movie theaters. And I think that was a bad choice on Universal's spot. Now, it's just bad news for Universal, in my opinion. It may be bad news for AMC just because they're also losing money, but they're the distributor. They're saying, hey, you've got a product, you want it out there, we're the only thing that can deliver, we're delivering that product and everything, and people love the movie theater. I know I love the movie theater, I love the experience and everything, but yeah. So tell me, how do you guys feel about these three stories? How sad are you that Irrfan Khan died? He was such a great guy. How do you feel about Michael Rosenbaum's potential, almost happening role in the Suicide Squad? What role do you think he was going to be playing in that movie? I have my own guesses, but nobody wants to hear those. And how do you feel about this whole AMC versus Universal theatrical release, video on demand release thing going on and everything? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys next week on my Week in Review. You guys stay safe and have a good week. Bye. Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and join me every Sunday with my Week in Review.